Let's talk about the assumptions we make as we go through this course series. What this course series assumes about you. You have experience creating applications in .NET. You don't necessarily have to be an ace .NET developer, but the point is that your frame of reference for the components of an application is consistent with that of .NET. You're familiar with using Visual Studio as your development environment. In other words, it's a tool that you're used to using. So as we talk about other things, we'll often make references to the way things are done in Visual Studio and how they might be different as you're working with them in Android. And another key assumption is that you're interested in developing your apps for Android in an Android way. In other words, you want to use the tools, techniques, and full capabilities of the Android platform. There are tools out there like Mono that let you work in a .NET way within Android, and those tools are fine. But I always find that when I'm on a platform, I'm most effective when I live, think, and work in the way the platform was designed. And so the goal of this whole series of courses is to help you make that transition from .NET developer to full-on Android developer using things the way Android intends them to be used. Now, just as important as what we do assume, it's important to understand what we don't assume about you. There is no assumption of prior knowledge of Java in this series. Now, we are going to be working in Java, right? So you'll have to code and create Java, but I don't assume you already understand it. If you've been working in .NET, you'll find that picking up Java is pretty easy. Obviously, the libraries are different, but even if you were working in something like Mono, or and you're doing C# on Android, the key thing about working on a platform, particularly a mobile platform, is a lot less about the language and understanding the SDK that's exposed by the platform. And no matter what language you're working in, and even if you're using .NET library classes as opposed to more the Java classes, you're still going to find that you're going to have to understand the way the platform works. Because of that, I find, for me at least, it was the best way was to just work directly in Java when I'm on Android. Now, I don't expect you to have any experience with Android. As we walk through learning things throughout this series, as we encounter concepts regarding Android, I'll make it a point to explain each one of those, so you don't have to know anything about Android. It is my hope that you'll know Android very, very well by the end of the series, but I assume nothing about that going into it. And I don't make any assumption about mobile development in general. You'll find that if you worked on a lot of different mobile platforms, although each mobile platform may be unique, there's a lot of commonalities. I'm not going to expect you to understand those things. As we're working along, our focus, of course, will be Android. But if there are things that we're encountering that, in my experience, are very common across mobile platforms, or if there's things we're encountering that I consider very different from other mobile platforms, I might briefly make reference to those things, but they're just more for informational purposes. There is no assumption at all made that you know anything about mobile.